Black Betty. Wham,
Gosh.
I don't know where it came from. It's there. It just had to come out.
Oh my gosh.
You want to sing the whole thing? I love that song.
You're listening to the Help Me with HIPAA podcast, where HIPAA and humor collide to make learning fun. Your delightful hosts are Donna Grindle and David Sims. Relax. HIPAA help is on the way.
Welcome to the Help Me with HIPAA podcast. My name is David Sims of HIPAA for MSPs and Security First IT. And joining me is Donna Grindle of Card.
Don't make it sound sad.
I need to have some reverb. Donna Grindle.
There you go. We'll have to get some more sound effects.
Yeah, tell boy and dad.
It's time for us to lift us up to the next level, buddy. We need more, we need to start adding suspense music when we're getting to the key points.
Yeah, I know.
Extra sound effects.
I know some of these podcasts now are like super produced.
I know.
I know. Okay. Maybe we'll do it. I don't know. I think people just want to hear it. Just give me the stuff.
Yeah.
Don't need music.
Give me the stuff. Don't make it pretty.
Yeah. Speaking of not being pretty, if you want to come out and see people stressed out, you need to come to the HIPAA boot camp. So we have the next live HIPAA boot camp coming up July 19th and 20th. As a matter of fact, I think this is the last episode that comes out before the boot camp.
Yep, it is.
So if you have
all that ahead of time stuff,
Yeah. So if you have any inclination of coming, you might want to get her done. It's going to be in Tucker, Georgia, and we'll be at the lovely place where Donna likes to go and get away from it all.
Smoke Rise Country Club.
She goes out to the country club.
I know. When I told one of my cousins, I've got to go to the club. He goes, club? I was like, yeah, the Smoke Rise Country Club. I remember. He laughed so hard, he had to hang up and call me back. It's like they let you in one.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like, you no matter how old you are, you've always been a member of some club. So anyway, if you're interested in that, you can check out thehipabootcamp.com. You can sign up there and get in there. It's going to be some good stuff. We talked about the schedule yesterday in our Google Docs meeting. So
hey, remote collaboration, that's what it's all about.
Yep. So it's going to be some good stuff.
Yeah.
Always is.
Yeah. And, entertainment provided by David.
Yeah. There'll be something, I can guarantee.
Something will happen. All right. We got a couple of listener things before we get into today.
Oh, yes.
And we have a listener survey out there, and we don't really push it that much. We do enjoy getting feedback, and we often take things that are on the survey and incorporate it into what we're doing, and so we are paying attention. And in fact, we may get a new survey soon that's designed to help us promote the podcast a little bit more instead of just telling us stuff we want to do. Right now, it's just telling us stuff you want us to do. But anyway, we had somebody put a note on their survey that said, I would access the notes and transcripts, but I can't seem to find them. Basically, if you go to the website, there is a blog post for each of the episodes, and it has the player where you can listen to it in the midst of everything, but it also has the notes that we actually work from. I mean, I write them up, and that's, every now and then I have to come back and add a few things to it, but I ain't got time for that to make it a lot more detailed. But it is a blog post that we work from when we are doing the recording. So it's not actually transcription of what we're saying, but it's the gist of it. And then there's also at least one timestamp in there. Sometimes I have more. It just depends. But ability to hop around, get the details, and all the links are at helpmewithhippa.com. And under podcast, you can see all of the episodes blog post. Some are better than others. I have improved over the time. You can tell when I have help and when I don't. And I've developed systems. So there's the answer. It's there. I'm sorry if you're having trouble finding it. Just go to helpmewithhippa.com. It's the best we got for now. Everybody's like, oh, it's cheap to have transcriptionists. But what is it, David? Like, you pay by the minute, and you never know how long we'll talk. And I'm not going to pay somebody to get some of his crap piped up.
Look at him.
And so then the next thing, we have listener Alex, who reached out to us earlier this year, and he is a lot of fun sending us emails. And I've talked to Alex. He's a cool guy. And he, usually it's conversations about news and those kind of things. But then he sends me he sends me an email, says, "You're really going to hate me now." And because he has heard us talk about how much I hate the hippopotamus stuff, the hippo, because it made people misspell HIPAA. It still does. And a hippo and a tutu, that was the going thing when HIPAA first came out. That would be like your mascot was a hippo, which would make you misspell hippopapa. There's no PP in HIPAA. There is a PP in hippo.
But for some reason, Alex did not, his brain heard something different than hippopotamus.
Well, his brain said, well, I wonder what kind of mascot you could have. And he came up with hippopotamus. And he got on Fiverr and had some artists come up with this thing. And
does he live in Colorado? Alex, whatever you're doing, just let me know.
Share, please. So it was very, very interesting.
Yeah, you got to see it, honestly.
Yeah,
you gotta, don't even pull over. Just go to the website while you're driving. It's worth the risk.
Yeah, we're going to, assuming that Alex will give us the rights to use it, we will post it on the podcast page that I just mentioned. So it's the hippopotamus, and now I can't get it out of my head. Once you see it, you won't be able to either. Once you realize there's macaroni hair and spaghetti hair and fur and
the lasagna horns or whatever. I keep wanting to see, hey, Rocky.
Oh, it's hysterical. So thank you, Alex. And I also got a gift box from George up in Oregon, and it was very, very thoughtful. And my thoughts are with you, George. Appreciate your kind Japanese treats. And the spicy dried squid is right on up there. It's happening this weekend. I have saved it for the time when some other people are going to be here, so we're doing it then. But thank you, and yes, whiskey is also one of my favorite gifts. I'm just saying.
Awesome.
All right, so let's get on to messaging failures. Times 3.
On to today's show. Yeah, so we're always hearing about security news. Matter of fact, it's hard for us to even narrow down what we want to talk about when we talk about security. It's just all over the place. Mm-hmm. But you have 3 stories that you have kind of found in a certain category under email and messaging and all that. And email is always the funniest thing. I told you a story before we started, but I had a client, someone who worked for the client as an employee, called me, put in a ticket in the other day and said that they were surfing looking for a recipe, and they clicked on the recipe and their computer started telling them to call a number. Their computer's going to get shut down. And so they called the number. And so the person on the other end, obviously not from around here, you need to let us in your computer. And so he said, okay, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. Let me call my IT person first. So he calls us and leaves us a voicemail. I called him back. Because anyway, so obviously it was a scam, a tech support scam, and he fell 85% for it. And so while I'm on the phone with him, he says, well, how do I know you're not a scammer? To which I responded, now you're starting to think about security? At this point, it's almost too late to think about being. But anyway,
Thankfully,
good job.
he stopped just before.
I know. Good job. Yeah. And the funny part was I was already in his computer when he asked that. I'm like, a little late. I'm already in your system.
Oh, there you go. I love it.
But it was funny. So that brings us to some other scams that you have here.
Yeah, well, it was 3 different stories that I kind of read all together, when I'm doing my Feedly news, and it was like, boom, boom, boom. They hit me all at the same time. And I'm like, wow, that's 3 different reasons that people fail when dealing with messaging. And, we live in a world where you must be able to do 42 types of messages. Mm-hmm. The people that went nuts over Slack going down was crazy.
I know. We couldn't work either. It was terrible. I had to actually go out to the next office to talk to somebody. Just like,
I'm just saying. So, one of the 2 big reasons that I really don't miss being a managed service provider like you are, David, is my email's down. My email doesn't work, and I can't print. And so email is so intricate into what we're doing, and everybody keeps thinking they have an email killer, but I haven't seen one yet. And even the millennials who don't rely on email the way we do, it still becomes a part of their day-to-day because there's so many things. It is a standard, and it doesn't matter what app you use. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas all these other messaging tools, you're using the specific messaging app, and it becomes a little problem. So this is why email won't change, in my opinion, for any time soon until they have a method where you can use whatever app you have, whatever thing you're doing. And so this email is why the phishing thing becomes a big problem. So the first story that we have here of a messaging failure is the Black River Medical Center. Ooh, Black Betty. I don't know where it came from. It's there. It just had to come out.
Oh my gosh.
You want to sing the whole thing? I love that song. Anyway, in this example, a single employee at the medical center fell for a phishing scam. And in the statement that the medical center released, they said that on April 23rd, they discovered a staffer fell for a phishing scam and had their email account compromised. From there, and this is the key part that got my attention, from there, the attacker could use those credentials to access sensitive patient information.
Mm-hmm.
So it said the investigation determined an unknown, unauthorized third party gained access to the email account and could have viewed or accessed the information contained therein and in certain circumstances, limited treatment information. So it's clear there's PHI in the email account. There's no doubt about it. But what I can't tell, and I don't know if you have seen different stories that made it more clear, is it a case where they're also doing single sign-on? So the sign-on is I log in, Active Directory connects me to my email, and it also connects me to my EHR.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's great. And we talk about single sign-on all the time. And you want to explain single sign-on, tech guy?
It's where you just singly sign on somewhere. It just logs you and everything else. Yeah, for Active Directory, for those people who have servers and, you have to put your username and password in a server, which then allows all your workstations to log in. You can connect other things to that. So as long as you're logged in, locally to that, then it'll connect to other things and allow you access. So you're not having to log in to all these different things individually. You're just doing it once.
Well, I'm very impressed that you didn't say that would be your login to Match.com.
To Match.com.
The single sign.
Now I get it.
Yeah. Okay. So
No, I had to quit that a long time ago.
No, really. But either way, and it made me think more about single sign-on and the importance that if you're going to implement single sign-on, you've really got to add other layers to the sign-on process and some other second factor that I can't just get a username and password and be able to get into everything and hack an account or computer. So that makes it a little tricky. Something for you to think about if you're a tech person and you've done that. Think about that. Think twice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, measure twice, cut once.
Yeah.
So it is convenient and everybody's interested in it, but there's another layer of security you have to worry about. There's another risk there that you have to worry about. And then there's that feeling of, and I'm talking on the phone with somebody and they kept calling all of the security protocols and stuff, the security policies and procedures, prophylactics.
Well,
and I haven't gotten past it. I'm like, okay, I almost said it because I was listening to them say it so many times. Anyhow, the encryption does not mean you don't have to worry about your email anymore because it's all in there. It's in there.
Yeah.
It's ragu for the hippopotamus.
Well, anytime we talk about encryption, we have to remind people that just because your computer is encrypted doesn't mean that everything's always encrypted.
Right.
And the same way with email.
If you're using it, if you're logged into it, then the encryption is turned off essentially, decrypted. And so there's two pieces to that puzzle. The need to make it a second factor, but more importantly, that thought of single sign-on. And if a person falls for the phishing scam, most of the phishing scams are trying to get you to log in and give up your username and password. And the bad thing is that once that happens, they now have that person's contact database. If I've got a company directory that I can access, they can export that and they've got clean emails that they know and internal email addresses they can use. So it's coming. They're going to get hit with a lot more stuff. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, so story number 2.
You are correct, Tana. Aflac.
I was wondering how long it'd take you to get there. Aflac announced that they had an exposure, and it involved the unauthorized access to agent accounts in Office 365, and it was going on for like 3 months. I know. That's what I said.
Tell me more. Tell me more.
And so it says that Office 365 email accounts the unauthorized access occurred between January 17th and April 2nd of this year. These accounts were on a business email system hosted by a third party. Hello, we know what Office 365 is, but then again, we're nerds. We're supposed to. The incident, and I thought it was interesting that they made sure they made this point. The incident was discovered through Aflac's data security detection systems. Now, it went on for 3 months. So that means a quarterly review caught it.
Yeah.
So that's why people, when I say you should do at least a quarterly review, there you go.
Yep. If nobody's looking, nobody's seeing. What is it? If you're alert, if nobody's there to listen to the alert, does it make a sound?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, but
tree falls in the woods.
I mean, I've actually had people who have told prospects, other IT companies told prospects, you don't need to have your systems monitored. It's just overkill. It's like, okay.
there you go. Overkill. I.e., we don't do that.
Yeah.
So the other guys are stupid. We're the smart ones. And really it is, we're trying to undercut you on price.
Yeah.
And so, but as a MSP, this is something that clearly would show up if somebody's doing these audits on a regular basis. And if you offer that service to your clients, and you should also know if your clients have a policy that says they're doing it, might want to help them out.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the statement. Based on our review, Aflac email accounts of a small number of our independent contractor insurance agents appear to have been accessed by an unauthorized third party. So it's not one.
Mm-hmm.
It's more than one, but it's not a lot. It's a small number.
Small number compared to what?
I know, Rick. There's not really, it's not there yet for us to see on the website, on the HHS website. But these agents are not employed by Aflac. They are independent contractors who help us provide services to you as our HIPAA business associates, and to all of those insurance agents who say they are not a HIPAA business associate.
Yeah.
These agents have also agreed to safeguard and protect your information. So pay attention, those of you in the insurance business, those insurance agents out there. There it is.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, we never signed anything. Look in your contracts. Look in your contract. What'd you say?
I said, yeah, it's called a BAA. That's the agreement to safeguard and protect your information.
Well, but the thing is, it's in their contract, like the big one they sign, and they don't realize it's in there. Because they just sign it and they don't actually read it. It's the same problem all the time.
Well, South Carolina, and you may not be aware of this, but South Carolina just passed a law that goes into effect next year for insurance agents that it is now a state violation if they are not doing reasonable and appropriate measures that they can point to and document and show that they are protecting that data.
Right. Yeah.
So,
see?
Well, HIPAA or not, it's going to get you sooner or later.
Yeah, because people won't do it unless they make them do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't do it, look what's happening. In these cases, the ones we're learning about, people are clearly trying to do the right thing because they had certain things in place, and these things are happening. So imagine the ones that aren't trying to do the right thing; they're not reporting it.
It's a mess.
Saying,
it's a mess.
Anyway, it's a mess. So their point was, our insurance agents are business associates, and they're supposed to protect things. Then it goes on to say that these agents' email accounts were hosted by Microsoft Office 365, which is also a third-party vendor to Aflac. So it sounds like Aflac gave them access as part of their deal. They would have an email account that way they could keep an eye on it, because Aflac found the problem, but the agents were the ones logging in. It creates a little interesting dynamic there to figure that out from a legal perspective, but not our problem.
I wonder if they filed insurance on this claim. Anyway.
They had a duck drop down with a wing full of dollar bills. All right, so data analysis, which was completed in April, showed that some of the email accounts may have included PHI and PII, which is not healthcare information, but personally identifiable information, which doesn't contain healthcare, but it does have other stuff. So we immediately instituted multiple robust controls to mitigate and remediate the activity, including resetting passwords, isolating the specific email accounts, contacting the affected agents. We also continue to work with our independent agents and vendors to implement strong security measures. So that means if you're an Aflac broker or agent, it's coming. That's all I'm saying. It's coming. They're going to ask for more from you because of what's happened here.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that it kind of sounded like they threw a lot of the work back at the independent contractor agents. We notified you. Yeah. Good luck.
It sounds like they were, the Aflac said, look, if we put them on this, then they have all the security tools they need, and we can keep an eye on it in case anything goes wrong. So the we can keep an eye on it helped them out. But both Microsoft Office 365 and Google G Suite, which are the two big, there's also Zoho, but I don't know enough about that one. But the two big ones, Microsoft and Google, they sign a BAA. But just because you do that doesn't mean that makes you secure. They give you so many security features, you've got to evaluate them and turn them on.
Mm-hmm.
That's a novel approach.
Yeah, still got to do your part.
Yeah. So this one shows you that you've got to worry about if you've got your communications and your messages all locked down, but you're communicating with your third parties, have you made sure they do? Because it's in your email and their email. It's in both places. So therefore, in both places means that it could get caught up over there. It's still your patient data and you sent it to them. So are you making sure that your third parties are messaging, secure messaging systems, and they have them properly locked down? And then the other piece is, if you do outsource and use a third-party solution, understand, sit down, review their security options, and make sure your policies and procedures require you to utilize them to what you believe is reasonable and appropriate for your environment. We can't say this is what you actually have to do. And, no, HIPAA does not say you must do two-factor authentication. Mm-hmm. It says you must have a username and password.
Right.
That's it. After that, you figure out how to secure things. So that being said, that was messaging failure number 2.
Yeah. Now we're going to go to old school messaging failure.
Yeah, really. This one, it was really cool from a nerdy perspective.
I know. That's like made me want to go do it.
I know. Me too. I have to admit, it did. It made me want to go, what's out there? Let me turn it on. Let me see. So it's a surprise in a couple of ways. Number one, people are still using text pagers. I had one of those in 2000.
No, they're beepers.
Yeah, but you can see in a minute, these are text pagers, not beepers where you just got the phone number. Remember those, the little black ones?
Oh yeah, because you had to send codes. Yeah.
Yeah. If it had 911 after it, meant call me right now. Mm-hmm. I need you.
411. Yeah. I need some information.
Need some information. So, yeah, but you just had those numbers, and then we upgraded to text pagers. This is a history class for those of you who weren't around then.
I know.
And I remember when I got the text pager, that was awesome because it was instant communication, and the top flipped up, and I had a tiny little screen and a tiny little keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
And it was awesome. I mean, I could, and it had an 800 number, and you could send me messages and...
Yeah, but we had a limit. Remember, it was like 100 messages a month or something.
Yeah. But, it was great, and it worked anywhere I was. I did learn when my nephew used it as a teething item, it does not handle slobber, as we say, and had to get it replaced. But other than that, it was a very durable, reliable device back then.
Yeah.
The fact that they're still using that technology today, and this goes back to a lot of people saying, well, the old way of doing it, I never had these security problems, so if I stick with that, I'm good.
How many
times have you heard that?
Yeah, when it comes to pen and paper.
Yeah, well, it's like, I'm getting off these computers, I'm going to do it the old way. You still have the problems. They're just different.
Yep.
The problem's still there. And, we have people sharing information. It doesn't matter whether they got it on paper or they got it on the computer. They're still doing those things. So anyway, but the way it was found is the nerdy cool part.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, and they're keeping this name anonymous, so it's interesting. So a, quote, IT worker for a county government in Missouri, and when you're a nerd, it's like David and I said, you hear about something or you get to thinking about something and you just want to try it.
Yeah.
or you hear about a problem and you come up with an idea of what might fix it, like David and I having a discussion earlier, and makes me want to go try it. So anyway, so he decides he's going to do TV broadcast channels. He's going to hook it up, pick up radio signals, which, those are happening all over the place. Thank you, Tesla. That we've got radio signals that are still flying around out there. We just don't remember that we used to use them all the time. Your actual radio stations and the TV broadcast stations are still out there broadcasting, and you can pick them up with an old school antenna. Mm-hmm. And he gets one and he connects it to his laptop because he's like, this will be cool.
I want to watch TV at work.
Yeah, I can hook it to my laptop and I can now get these broadcast channels for free. Mm-hmm. We can still get those for free. So it reminded me, though, this vision. I don't know, you probably went through it too. Out in the country, our house, we had this pole that was up really high above the top of the house. It had the big antenna on it.
Yeah, and the controller was in the house and you had to turn it.
No, we actually had to go outside because it was right outside the house.
Oh.
So my dad would be sitting in the chair trying to get, channel 17, which is UHF, not VHF. But he would be yelling out the window, go try the other way, go the other way, stop.
Just stand there.
Turning the pole, So I had this vision of that giant pole hooked to his laptop. But that is what technology we're talking about. It's the same technology as when I was doing as a kid, and David doesn't have to reference how long ago that was. But it was a long time ago.
Yeah, that's back when she had that pet T-Rex.
There you go. So this is what he does, and he hooks this thing up, and he's getting a good signal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So stuff's flying by him he just turns it on, says, what traffic's out there? Let me see. And stuff starts flying by him. He's like, that looks like patient information. And he realizes that it's like information. And by the time he wrote it all down, figuring it out, thinking, we this is a problem. I don't know what kind, but it seems like a problem. And 7 different hospitals.
Wow.
7 different hospitals. And we're talking University of Kansas Hospital in Kansas City. And some small ones, Children's Mercy Hospital in Kansas City. And then all the way over in St. Louis and in Wichita. Huh. So picking them up all over the place, Kansas and Missouri, and it's all this information. And they're like, the IT worker, quote, IT worker, was like,
Hey, y'all come and check this out.
Hey, y'all watch this. And so clearly not someone that has HIPAA knowledge, or they would have had a better idea of what to do with this information. Mm-hmm. But because they didn't, they went to the Kansas City Star newspaper, not the hospitals, not HHS. It went to the Kansas City Star. And it was clear because it said in the article, the worker said that he wanted to bring attention to the fact that these hospitals were not encrypting their pager data, and cyber criminals could easily intercept the information and use it for identity theft. He thought it also may be a HIPAA violation. It might be, maybe. So clearly not a HIPAA person. So what do you expect, right? Mm-hmm. It's radio signals, and they're just flying by. And so, of course, the newspaper has to do their due diligence, because that's what they're supposed to do as journalists, is ask, get the information, and then confirm whether or not it's true.
Right.
So they go to the hospitals and they reach out to them and say, we've got this information. Is it true? And some of the hospitals didn't reply. Other hospitals said, some fluffy stuff. But one particular hospital was, really trying to blow them off by saying the pager data was only available to local hackers with specialized scanning and decoding equipment, and that intercepting the data was illegal under the Electronic Communications Protection Act.
Oh, well, in that case, it should be okay because it's illegal. Nobody's going to do it. And thanks for supporting the local hackers and not the ones outside of your area.
There you go. But, but it's just, your basic, it was a horrible reply because, the IT worker said, I'm not a hacker. I'm into radio signals and I turned that on and you're coming in on radio signals. So it's not even like I had to work to get them. It just showed up, which, makes their argument ridiculous. It's not like somebody was sitting there pointing at the pager data trying to get it. It just showed up and it wasn't being intercepted on purpose as an illegal act.
Mm-hmm.
So get up off yourself. The people that replied that, we won't go into that any further. But it got really bad when they had to confirm on the other side. And there were some quotes that were very telling as to why this is the biggest messaging failure we are covering today. Because they did call actual patients that they found in this traffic.
Huh. Okay.
And, they're due diligence. They're doing what they're supposed to do.
All right.
And so they tracked down one woman in St. Charles, Missouri, which is right outside of St. Louis, who on May the 28th had been hospitalized at Baptist Medical Center. And she says to the newspaper, "You're sitting there telling me exactly what happened to me. So what the hell?" Which I thought was great. I mean, here's a perfect example of why people should be securing this information and worrying about patient privacy. That's the way people feel. These are your patients. This is your responsibility to take care of them. And then they talked to another woman in Kansas City whose kid went to the children's hospital, and she talked how she felt violated, and then, made a quote about, something needs to change. But then the key statement was, who knows what else is going on if it's that easy for information to get out there?
Yeah. And we talked before about people, patients expect their data to be protected.
Yeah, they believe, I'm going to, Missouri Baptist Medical Center. They're big. They're going to take care of me, right? Or Children's Mercy in Kansas City. They're going to take care of me, right? And that was what they believed. And we all know that these operations are huge, and probably somewhere somebody said, you really need to get rid of those pagers. And they're all like, we like them. Nobody wants to change. Until Dr. So-and-so retires, we're going to keep them.
Yeah. They can't be hacked.
Yeah, they can't be hacked. We don't have to worry about those. But really, to me, these stories tell us that you've got to spend some time worrying about messaging. And another point that we saw a lot of at Secure World is that business email compromise, they're calling it BEC, they're looking for ways to hack into your messaging systems. And then you've got people that aren't even trying to hack into your messaging systems being able to see your messages if you're that careless. So clearly, you've got to worry about more than just, we can't use text messaging. How are we going to talk to each other? God forbid I can't text to, somebody's phone, and you can see them now you see them at the ball field. Oh, wait, at a restaurant, you see it all the time. You see the kid on somebody's phone, and then they hand the phone to the parent. You got a text.
I know.
Yeah. And who knows what that kid's doing while you're there, So I thought that those messaging failures were telling that it's not just about you and your coworkers. This is about your patients and their privacy. And if you're the third party, it's still about the patients and their privacy. And that's kind of my point for the day. That, that idea that it's only local so it's not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on, that makes it worse for some people.
Yeah.
Who's going to know? There's information I don't want to share with people. And I know many, many cases where people, they were being treated for something and they don't want people to know about it.
Yeah. I wouldn't want people to know about much of the reasons why I go to a doctor.
Okay, well, we're done now.
All right. So we learned that that phishing is still a thing. We learned that Office 365 accounts still have to be set up with security. A lot of people think, I'll just get Office 365 or G Suite and I'm good. So that's not the case. And then pagers, not secure.
Who would have thought?
Oh, man. Just go out there and buy
Only locally, though. Only locally. Yeah. Across the entire state.
Yeah. Just make sure you're only supporting your local hackers.
Or radio enthusiasts.
You can't, you can't violate HIPAA unless it's outside the local area.
I don't even get it.
I know. Anyway, crazy stuff. Makes me want to go and look at the pasta mousse.
I know. Hippopotamus. Yeah. I don't know. I might have to do something with the ragu. It's in there to put it on the hippopotamus.
Great one, Alex. Anyways, that's our show for today, folks. Thanks for listening. If you have problems finding our documentation for the episode, then go to our website, helpmewithhippa.com. Click on podcast. It's in there. Don't forget to share this out on your favorite social media site. You can rate us on the podcasting apps and all over the place. Look, we are outside your local area, so you can share us out. So remember, if you're going to do the HIPAA Bootcamp, you better get in there, thehippabootcamp.com. Check it out. We have, I think, 2 more openings left. So if you're interested, get in there. So for Donna and myself, HIPAA is not about compliance. It's about patient care.
You've been listening to the Help Me with HIPAA podcast, hosted by Donna Grindle and David Sims. The show created to help you with HIPAA. For more information or to ask us a question, visit our website at helpmewithhipaa.com. Neither Donna Grindle or David Sims are attorneys, and they do not offer binding legal advice concerning regulatory compliance. The information in this podcast should not be relied upon or construed as legal advice in any way. Consult your attorney for legal advice concerning compliance with HIPAA regulations.